Welcome back to Chess Thoughts. Today's topic is one of the oldest and most debated questions in philosophy. Is there such a thing as absolute truth? Is there an objective reality that exists regardless of our individual perspectives? Or is truth something that shifts and changes based on who's looking at it? This question has puzzled philosophers, scientists, and thinkers for centuries, and today we're going to explore it together. So, sit back, relax, and let's unpack the nature of truth. When we think of truth, most of us have an intuitive sense of what that means. We might define truth as something that aligns with facts or reality, something that can be proven or observed. But as soon as we dive a little deeper, things start to get complex. Let's start with the concept of absolute truth. The idea that there are facts or principles that are true in all times, places, and contexts. For example, some might argue that mathematical truths, like 2 plus 2 is equal to 4, are absolute. Regardless of where you are in the world, 2 plus 2 will always equal 4. But is math a unique exception? Can we apply the same idea to concepts like morality, justice, or even reality itself? Throughout history, philosophers have taken different stances on this. Realists, for instance, believe that an objective reality exists independently of human thought or perception. In other words, there's a world out there that's true and factual, even if no one perceives it. But then there's another side of this coin, known as relativism. Relativism suggests that truth is not absolute, but instead varies based on perspective, culture, or even individual belief. A relativist might say, "What's true for me may not be true for you." And we see this in cultural values or moral beliefs. For example, some cultures value collectivism, where the group's needs come before the individual's, while others prioritize individual freedom. In a relativist view, neither is absolutely right or wrong. They're just different perspectives. Relativism challenges us to question whether we can ever claim something as objectively true. But it also has its limitations. If everything is relative, then do we risk losing any standard by which to evaluate actions or ideas? How can we make sense of justice, fairness, or even the laws of nature if truth is entirely subjective? Now let's bring in the concept of perspectivism, a term associated with philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche. He argued that truth is shaped by our perspectives, which are influenced by our backgrounds, experiences, and biases. In this view, there might be a reality, but no one has direct access to it because we're all seeing it through our own filters. Essentially, truth exists, but we only ever grasp pieces of it, our own version of reality. Imagine looking at a mountain from different angles. From one side, it might look steep and rugged, while from another, it appears smooth and green. Each perspective reveals a different side of the mountain, but none of them show the mountain in its entirety. Nietzsche would argue that our perceptions of reality work the same way. We each see fragments, and those fragments form our individual truths. So, where does that leave us? Is truth out there as an absolute, or is it just a collection of perspectives? Some philosophers try to bridge the gap with a concept called pragmatism. Pragmatists, like philosopher William James, suggest that truth is what works for us. That is, a belief is true if it has practical effects and helps us navigate the world. Take scientific theories, for example. While they may not provide absolute truths, they offer explanations that help us make predictions and solve problems. In a way, science becomes a tool, offering a version of truth that can be tested, modified, and improved. Pragmatism doesn't necessarily argue that truth is absolute, but it also doesn't dismiss truth as mere perspective. It gives us a framework for truth that's practical and flexible. One of the reasons this question of absolute truth matters is because it affects how we interact with others. If we believe in an objective truth, then disagreements become a matter of seeking and finding that truth. But if truth is subjective, then we might focus more on understanding and respecting each other's perspectives. It could mean learning to coexist with a diversity of beliefs without insisting that one is right. In a world that often feels polarized, where people hold tightly to their views, perhaps the most valuable approach lies somewhere in the middle, a recognition that while we each hold our own truths, there may be shared realities we can agree on, or at least seek to understand. So, is there such a thing as absolute truth? The answer, as with so many philosophical questions, is complicated. Some truths may be closer to universal, while others might be shaped by perspective, culture, and personal experience. What's clear is that truth is complex, layered, and often elusive. Maybe, in the end, the journey toward truth is less about finding absolute answers and more about engaging with different perspectives and expanding our understanding. It's about the pursuit, the curiosity, and the openness to see things from multiple angles. Thanks for joining me on this exploration of truth and perspective. If today's episode made you think, or even made you question a few of your own assumptions, then we're on the right path. Remember, the search for truth isn't about having all the answers. It's about staying curious and open. If you enjoyed today's episode, please subscribe, share, and leave a comment. Until next time, keep questioning, keep exploring, and remember that the journey toward truth is one we're all on together.